Welcome back to the Wayfaring Warbler, a YouTube channel about birding in Massachusetts, New England, and beyond.
Hello, welcome back. Normally I would have a little talking head video here, but I recorded something and I didn't record any audio with it. So we're gonna jump right into things here. So I only birded on Sunday of this weekend because it snowed a bunch on the Saturday once again. So I wasn't able to go anywhere. Needless to say, I had a lot I wanted to accomplish in one day of my weekend. So I started my day off at Salisbury Beach. The thought process being that they're pretty good at plowing and you can access areas while they're still doing it. And it was going to be incredibly cold once again, like the coldest it's been. So it was my better option for exploring by car. As you can see, it was 4 degrees at this time. It feels like -14. Oh my God. So I headed over to the boat ramp. It wasn't very well plowed yet, but the path to the boat ramp was fine. And I tried to bird from my car, but I wasn't getting very clear shots. But yeah, I saw this common loon right off the boat ramp. And then there were some long-tailed ducks, as you can see here. There were some buffleheads mixed in there to the right. Some females, juveniles. There was this common goldeneye. I always love seeing those. There was only one of them though. And here's some buffleheads. One male on the left and then some females. And then I took some laps around the whole place. I wanted to check out the different lots, see what they were plowing. But here was some crows, squirrel. I've realized I need to learn my crow species a little better because I really only have the American crow. And I mean, I've heard the raven, but haven't gotten it. So I'm pretty sure these weren't fish crows, but we're going to work on getting that on the channel and as a lifer. And over here was a bunch of robins and some starlings on the side of the road. I don't know if they usually flock together, but in this instance they were, and they're usually both big flocks, so I always like seeing the robins in the trees, even if they're a common bird. Sometimes I'll stop to the side of the road to take pictures of them at Parker River, and people are like, oh, what were you photographing? And just a robin, but they're pretty cool. I don't know about cool, but they're just pretty, even if they're common. I then spent some time watching this song sparrow on the side of the road. You know, I just love, I don't know, these song sparrows are so pretty, even if they're so, again, common. But this one was such a little floofball. I had to take a bunch of pictures of him. I mean, cold weather, that's one way that birds stay warm is they floof up. And this one was particularly floofy. I think I'm going to have to do a series of floofy birds on my Instagram. I then decided to head over to Plum Island because I was done with Salisbury Beach. There wasn't too much exciting and it wasn't plowed enough yet. I kind of hung around the turnpike a little bit, saw some bald eagles on the side of the pull off underneath the bridge. And then eventually I got notification that Parker River was open. So I excitedly headed over and the roads were pretty good. They're all plowed. All the parking lots were plowed. The snow was drifting quite a lot, but driving wasn't impacted at all. It wasn't slippery. I didn't really go in with any expectations. Of course, I saw another pretty robin on the side of the road. I even heard a robin calling at one point, so that felt pretty spring-like for a freezing cold day. And then at the Hellcat parking lot, I heard this sound. If you guessed Eastern towhee, you're right. A towhee had been seen around the Hellcat parking lot for a few days, and I also heard a raven, although I didn't see it. But this hermit thrush also had been seen, and I finally saw it. I had missed it the weekend before, and I had some great looks. Right as I pulled in, it was right at the entrance to the parking lot. It disappeared after that, but pretty looks. Happy to get that one, add to the year list. And I didn't notice until editing this video that this bird poops and then bounces away. And then, of course, I saw a downy woodpecker. I feel like I see them always. But this male was, because the male, you could tell by the red on top of his head, was giving me some great looks in the tree above me. Where I was trying to find that towhee. In the meantime, I saw a white-throated sparrow. And then a pretty blue jay. Look at that brilliant blue. And then finally in a snowbank, where all the snow was pushed back from the road with a little patch of dirt from the ground, I spotted the towhee. Of course, he's doing a pose. I feel like they always do. I have a great picture of this from the fall and the leaves where he looks much more appropriate for the season. But yeah, he was giving me some great views, striking some great poses. The light wasn't the best here, of course, for some photos. And then I saw him in the bushes, and then he kind of disappeared, and I moved on. But there was also some white-throated sparrows in this little clump of dirt within the snow pile, some cardinals, and then this junco. I don't know what he was eating, but little things on the ground. Usually people don't feed seeds here, so I don't think I saw any seeds on the ground, but I mean, it's a possibility. And then I didn't realize it this time, but I got some pictures of him with some floof in his beak, some feathers, probably from preening himself. And then eating some food. I don't know if this was a different one or not. And maybe, probably, because he doesn't have feathers stuck in his mouth. Well, I mean, this probably is that other one. Oh, maybe it's the same one, because there's still feathers here. And then I saw a northern mockingbird, very common bird. I always think it's something more exciting. It's a northern mockingbird. So I'm crazy, and I made a split-second decision to walk down the gravel road as the first person who's walked down it since the snowstorm. I only made it as far as the bill forward line, so it's too cold and it's windy, so usually that isn't good for seeing anything in the Pines Trail, so I don't think it's worth walking all that far. Nor do I have the snowshoes I ordered yet, so I'm not going to venture all the way down there where no one else has gone. The Hellcat parking lot is actually quite productive. There's a bunch of different songbirds in there, one for the year list. Yeah, so I guess we'll just explore that, and I'll keep an eye out to see if anyone's venturing into Halibut Point or anything else on Cape Ann, and may head there for the high tide. Otherwise, I think we're gonna go try to walk the ocean, so we'll see. All right, check back in later. I did spot a yellow-rumped warbler, very common at Parker River in the winter, and then I added a lifer. I saw this hawk thing in the air, and I grabbed some pictures, not really knowing what it was, but being pretty sure it wasn't a red-tailed, and it is a rough-legged hawk. This is a Arctic visitor in the winter here, and I didn't realize that until I recorded this video, but I am really excited to be able to add that to my year list and my life list. This is the light morph. I was able to identify it by its wing pattern. Sibley identifies as having a dark belly and wrist patch with very pale flight feathers, brownish or grayish above, with a white base of tail. Fluffy plumage, small bill, and small feet are all adaptations to Arctic life. At this point, I was ready to head to Cape Island for the late afternoon high tide. And on the way, I like to stop different places. So one of those favorite places is Spencer Pierce Little Farm, which is right around the corner, also in Newbury. This point was 15 degrees, feels like 0, so it was warming up. But I had seen a couple of reports, and I wasn't really counting on seeing anything, but I did add something to the year list. This yellow-bellied sapsucker. I was sitting in my car and kind of driving around. It was very well plowed, actually, compared to other times I've gone there recently. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see the sapsucker above the animal pens. And I've only seen it maybe once before in my life since I've been birding. I'm a beginner birder, don't forget. And I was pretty excited to actually see this pretty quickly. I cut out of my car once to get a better picture, and he was frozen to try to blend in. And then if I sat there for a while, he would start moving again. I mean, just look at his camouflage. He was really trying to blend in with that tree there. It was pretty perfect. And on my way out, I saw maybe 3 crows up in a tree above me. So I actually opened my sunroof and put my camera outside of it to take this picture, which I thought was pretty good. And then I continue my journey down Route 1A towards Cape Ann. And I sometimes like to pull off and check out Nelson's Island, part of the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge. And I also like to check out Rough Meadows, which is part of Mass Audubon's wildlife sanctuaries. It's a pretty small little parking area. Just wanted to show it here so you could see it. And then the trail goes off to the left there, which I've taken. And there's a little tiny trail across the street there. I've taken the trail once, but I'd like to snowshoe here in the next couple weeks. There's different habitats around here, woods, salt marshes. The roads were rough and it wasn't plowed all the way down. There is a house in like another like a greenbelt area at the end here, but I don't know, maybe that house doesn't use it in the winter. I'm not sure why it stopped in the middle of the road, but I turned around, left, and headed toward Cape Ann, my actual destination at this point. I put my GPS toward Daugherty State Fish Pier. There was a lot of gulls here, which is typical, and people usually find rarer species here. But these were all American herring gulls, and I couldn't see over the snowbanks for anything else.
It's that car in the middle of it.
Now that I have this picture blown up in the corner, I could tell they were feeding the gulls, so that's their own fault. Then I headed towards, not too far. First I stopped at Rocky Neck. It was all frozen over, so nothing great there, and it was so windy. But then I headed to Eastern Point Lighthouse Wildlife Sanctuary, another Mass Audubon site that I like to go to a lot. Of course, I mean, when it's windy, it's really windy there. And at this point, it was 18 degrees, feels like 4. But you could see how strong the wind was. I just took a video to show you that. Like, there was no way you were going to hear me. And this surf was so crazy that it was going over the seawall, and there was ice on it. So it is not safe to walk on that seawall right now. Even with spikes, it's just not worth it. Of course, there's always gulls around, so I got this picture of an American herring gull. Now, there's usually varying ducks on the calmer harbor side of the seawall, and then the rougher open Atlantic Ocean side of the seawall. But today there was a whole bunch of ducks I don't normally see on the rough Atlantic Ocean side, including some black ducks, a white-winged scoter, which is the bird in the back to the left. And then I couldn't see what this bird was at the time, but when I looked at my pictures, it was a surf scoter all by itself, which was kind of odd, and it kept crashing against the seawall itself. But I could identify it by its bill, which is quite obvious, as you could see. And then there were a few eiders, not as many as I usually see. And then I headed over to Brace Cove / Niles Pond, which is part of the same private beach association, but in the winter, people say they don't care as much if you go stop at their beach as long as you're being mature about it. So I walked their beach, which isn't too big. It's a little rockier, but slightly protected. You can see it was like the waves were quite big compared to the other. I've been here like once or twice, and the waves were crashing quite hard, but it was a little calmer on this side based on the wind direction because it's the opposite side of the peninsula from Eastern Point. There was a whole bunch of sanderlings here, which I haven't seen it for a while since I haven't been walking down to the beach at Parker River. I think I estimated there was at least 35 of these. Always fun to get some video of them scurrying around. This one was entirely on one leg. Hopefully it has a second leg, but I don't remember if I saw him put it down. I thought it did. And then I sat on a rock for a little while and watched these buffleheads. That's a female right there. Or probably immature male. I mean, they usually look the same. And there's a couple more. This is an adult female mallard. And then I had some good views of a male bufflehead. They like to dive a lot, so it's always hard to get video of them because you never know when they reappear next. See the beautiful coloring in his head. And then here's a female, a few females. From left to right, this is a sleeping red-breasted merganser female, an American black duck, and a male mallard. And there was various passerines on the beach here, including horned larks feeding on the rack line within the snow. And ABA Bird of the Year, so always exciting to see them at this point. And then I was surprised to see a few sparrows on the beach. I guess so. There was so much snow, it's the only place to find food, but there was several. I believe I said at least 6, but it was really hard to count because they kept flying everywhere. And then to my delight, I saw a Savannah sparrow, but an Ipswich subspecies, which is a lifer for me, but we're not really counting subspecies on the list, so that doesn't count. The Ipswich website, they about Ipswich sparrows being a migrating winter visitor along the East Coast that breeds almost exclusively on Sable Island off of Nova Scotia. It was discovered in early December 1868 on Ipswich Beach, which is now known as Cranes Beach. At the time, it was thought to be an unidentified species closely related to the Savannah sparrow, but in fact, it has no DNA indication of being a separate evolutionary tract from the Savannah sparrow, but it's one of 17 identified subspecies, and it is a larger size and a lighter plumage compared to the standard Savannah sparrow that we see typically. A continuing bird, I also had heard there was a American pipit seen this day, and I did see at least one. There could have been more, but I don't know. They kept flying everywhere, so it's hard to tell. Another rare winter visitor, but pretty easy to find on the coast of New England. There was also this huge flock of ducks on the other side of the beach, so I walked towards that and saw that it was really mostly mallards. I guess they're the pond that they usually hang out in on the other side of the beach here. There is a freshwater pond. It's frozen over, so they've resorted to this little cove, and I think I estimate about 450 mallards there. And then there was a few black ducks mixed in as well. With some light fleeting, I decided to take a shot to see if Halibut Point was plowed enough to make it worthwhile checking out. At least I would know for the future. So I headed that way, made a couple stops, nothing fruitful. But shockingly, I saw, amongst a few robins, I saw this hermit thrush. I go from not seeing it this year to seeing 2 in one day at 2 totally different locations. So that was kind of funny. So they do plow the park, so they have access up to the visitor center. So you walk up the gravel road, around or under the gate, and it is plowed up a little bit more way up that hill there. But then after that, it's not. There's definitely a bunch of tracks, so it wasn't too hard to walk through. But at this point of the day, with the sun going down soon, I stuck to more heavily walked trails and didn't go down onto the rocks. But I did see a few sea ducks. I now had seen all 3 scoters, adding the black here after having already seen white wing, but saw some better white winged, and that one surf scoter earlier in the day. Of course, there's always common eiders, I saw and heard long-tailed ducks, a few harlequin ducks. But it was really windy and hard to hold my camera, so I don't know, it wasn't really 100% worth being out there, but it was really pretty, especially as the sun started setting. Of course, there's always some purple sandpipers down here. You can see how icy it was, so I'm kind of glad I didn't venture on the rocks. I wasn't wearing my spikes at the time either, but there was a small flock of them. That's another episode. It was a crazy day. Losing a whole weekend day and then only having one because I had to work the rest of the week. Some bird just flew over. Distracted, looked like a duck. Anyway, yeah, we had to fit all this one day, and it was cold and things weren't plowed yet, so it couldn't start really early in the morning like I initially thought I was gonna do. We added a few things to the life list. I didn't freeze. I didn't risk frostbite. By the way, we talk about my new glasses. Well, not my new glasses, but I'm switching the glasses up because I don't know if I want my identity to be pink glasses. I do have others, and I used to have brown ones too. So, I might switch it up here. Haven't decided, but I do like that people have been recognizing me and watch this channel. It was nice to meet some people at the Brookline Bird Club winter meeting last night. So thanks for anyone who said hello or message that they saw me. So good week. Added a few things, like I said, and that's another one. Enjoy this beautiful sunset. I was just walking Halibut Point State Park. Forgot my phone, or I would have gotten better pictures of the sunset. Yeah, it was very nice. It was surprisingly plowed here, and it was really windy. It was really kind of miserable, but I tried to get some pictures while my camera was blowing out of my hand. All right, that's it. Enjoy. Next weekend's a long weekend, so we're gonna have all the content. Probably have to break it up into multiple videos, but I will see you next time.
If you enjoyed wandering with me today, give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep following where the birds lead next. Thanks for watching. Until next time.